you've ever felt that your life could be so much better if only you were more beautiful, this video is to validate you. And if you feel like what I just said is wrong, or it's untrue, or it's just a myth, this video is also to call out your hypocrisy. I remember when I was in secondary school, there was this classmate that I had, very wonderful, kind, one of the most kind-hearted people I've met in my life. But I watched her struggle through school because she was considered as the least attractive in school. In fact, it was so bad that when we had, slum books and the likes, I don't know if you did it in your own secondary school, they would write questions like, who was the most beautiful, who would you like to go on a date with, and who is the ugliest. I don't even know why that existed, because we're just teenagers. Most guys would write her name, and then, we used to share those books in like hostels, whatever. Most guys would write her name, and I watched in real time how, even though we were classmates, we were schoolmates, classmates, hostel mates, our lived experience in school was so different. And that was because I was somewhat regarded then as one of the attractive ones. I mean, not the most attractive, but at least I saw how just a change in appearance affected our lived experiences. And in recent times, I've seen how that has, morphed into how the society operates and how they view people who are considered attractive and people who are not considered attractive. And I think it's a conversation we should have, because I believe that this ties very directly into how we judge people who get like facial treatment, facial surgeries, BBLs, or who even use bleaching creams. And I think we need to be more honest about, this conversation. So in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about aesthetic capital and about how it is an actual currency, actual capital that helps you survive through life. Hi, my name is Konsola. If you are new on this channel, this is something new I'm doing on this channel. I don't record videos like this, but in recent times, I felt like I need to share my opinion on many things that are happening and how, social interactions are formed based on different factors. So if you're looking for conversations like this, I think you're on the right page. This is going to be one of your favorite channels very soon, I promise you. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about two things. The first one is beauty as a moral currency, and the second one is beauty as a social currency. Follow me, because you're going to be really surprised by some of the things that I discovered while doing research for this video. So first, let's talk about beauty as a moral currency. While doing my research for this video and just, studying generally, I came across this article titled, "What is Beautiful is Good." And the authors of this article performed a social experiment across different industries, across different people. And they discovered that when people consider you as physically attractive, or when they consider you as beautiful, or when they consider you as matching the beauty standards of the society as of that time, they are more likely to attribute socially acceptable or morally good attributes to you. So basically what this means is, if someone sees you, and this happens to you as well, if someone sees you and you're pleasing to their eyes, they just automatically assume that you must be a good person. They automatically assume that you're kind, that you're honest, that you're warm, and you're beautiful, and all of those things, right? On the contrary, if someone sees a person and they regard that person as ugly, they automatically assume that that person has all the bad characteristics. They automatically assume that, oh, this person must be wicked, or this person must be evil. In fact, sometimes people say it as, oh, you're probably being punished for all of your bad behavior, is why you're not beautiful, or is why you're not good. And it may seem like it's not a big deal. However, this has played directly into different facets of people's lives and how people interact with them. So if people assume that you are good, they want to associate with you, they want to be close to you, they want to speak highly of you, they just like you, right? And if people think you are not good looking, they just dislike you. And if people already dislike you or like you based on how you look, how are you supposed to survive in a world where people judge you before they even get to know you, right? Look at the example of the girl, my classmates that I mentioned earlier. I, as her roommate who lived with her, knew that she was a very kind, warm person. But people outside didn't even give her that opportunity to prove herself as a kind person. They just assumed that because she had facial features that were not exactly, appealing, that she had to be a bad person. They called her names, they treated her badly, simply because she didn't look good. And so before you judge the next person that says, oh, fine boys or fine girls are enjoying in this life, and you're like, nah, I work hard, blah, 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 you should know that it has actually been proven scientifically that people automatically regard what is beautiful as what is good. And it's not just in people, it's also in like food, is a natural occurrence. So for example, when you see a nicely plated meal, like nicely plated food, you just assume that the food must be delicious simply because it was plated nicely, right? It is the same way, and because it's delicious, you want to eat it, you want to experience it because it looks nice. So it is the same way that people interact with others because they think they are not beautiful, right? This is also known as the halo effect. But in addition, or do I say as a byproduct of that, beauty can also be a social currency. So I just spoke about moral currency, where people just assume you're either good or you're bad. You have good qualities or you have bad qualities because of how you look. The second one is beauty as a social currency. In another research that I read, the researchers discovered that people who meet the beauty standard or who are more physically attractive are more likely to lead, and in fact to do lead better lives than people that are not considered attractive. And you might think, how? And this cuts across every facet, both like financially, socially, but like they're more likely to have, you know, better spouses, they're more likely to have better jobs, even when those jobs do not require them to be attractive. They are more likely to have just a better life in general. And this is scientifically proven. It's not just, oh, hearsay. And this often happens in two different ways, either directly or indirectly. Directly being that, let's say you're working in an industry, for example, like the beauty industry, or you're acting, or you're a model, where beauty sells, where people want to see. Remember what I mentioned in the first part, being whatever is beautiful is good. In industries that require beauty to sell, only people who are considered physically attractive or who meet that beauty standard are likely to get jobs and get paid or get successful in those fields. People who do not meet that standard struggle to get jobs. Even if they do get jobs, sometimes they are bullied for it. If you don't meet the beauty standard, you're not facially beautiful, or let's say you are obese, or you don't just meet the certain beauty standard, it's very difficult for you to make it in industries that require beauty, right, as a qualification. And that's like direct way you can say it. In the indirect way, do you know that research shows that people in organizations, even HR, can be biased towards your performance based on how you appear. So if they think you look beautiful, if they think you look handsome, if they think you are physically appealing, they are more likely to rate your work as well done. They're more likely to give you good ratings during like performance reviews and stuff, compared to someone who doesn't meet those standards. And so without you even doing anything, or outside of you being bad at your job or anything, you may struggle to get that promotion, you may struggle to make that bank, you may struggle to make that deal simply because you are not fine, right? And in addition to that, people who are considered not attractive, not physically attractive, are more likely to be isolated, have fewer friends. They are more likely to be left out of like cool social events. And if you're in corporate space or like business generally, you know that some of the biggest and best deals are made when you have these social gatherings. So first, you're isolated, you don't have friends, HR and other team members are biased against you, and then you're left out of these events that can spoil your career. How can you compete really with someone who has this beauty capital? And I say all of these things, primarily beauty as a social capital and beauty as a social currency or capital, and beauty as a moral currency, to say that when people decide that they want to improve their appearance using methods that are not 100% safe or ethical, I think we should be more gracious in the conversation we're having with them, because at the end of the day, they are trying to fight a system that is set up against them based on the genetic, you know, lot that they chose, right? So if someone says, or if you see someone bleaching, for example, you're quick to say, oh, why are you bleaching? It's not healthy, whatever, you should love yourself more than that. Well, forgetting that colorism still exists in this country, or in the world at large, while forgetting that colorism is still a major thing that can influence what kind of job you get, how you are treated because you are light-skinned or you're not light-skinned. So instead of saying, okay, oh, you're cheap or you're whatever because you're bleaching, how about we approach this conversation like, okay, this is what the society is. How can we ensure that the society is a more welcoming, a more inclusive, a more acceptable place for people who do not meet this beauty standards? Or when you see someone getting a BBL, for example, you are thinking, why are you getting a BBL? You should love your body the way you are. But do you also know that in that survey, it shows that people who meet a beauty standard are more likely to have better looking partners, are more likely to have like even kinder partners? Because frankly, let's be honest, many people want people who look good. Many people want to walk out with their partner and be like, oh yeah, and have people say, oh, that's a catch, that's, you know, beautiful and all of those things. So if someone is getting facial surgery, or if they are getting a BBL because they want to be acceptable and they want to be desirable to a partner, maybe we should be like less harsh about how we judge them. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be partnered. Everybody wants to have someone be proud of them. Everybody wants to have someone love them. And even people who do not do like facial constructions, or who do not do BBLs, or who do not bleach, whatever, when they do have partners that are good looking, especially if those partners are better looking than them, they are condemned to a life of comparison. They are condemned to a life of judgment. It is when a partner is not beautiful that you start seeing people making comments like, oh, this is what happens when a man chooses peace of mind over beauty. what type of backhanded comment is that? If they were two attractive looking people, you wouldn't consider peace of mind as a factor for choosing that person. You wouldn't consider behavioral traits. That's when you start saying, oh, a man will go with a well-behaved woman without we'll go with a well-behaved woman before going for a baddie, because you are assuming that if a man is not going for a very beautiful person and they're going for this, because you just assume that just because they don't have this socially acceptable features, beautiful features, then they are not deserving of love, or they are not deserving of acceptance, or they are not deserving of anything good. So you're like, okay, well, maybe they are lucky because they have a good behavior. Maybe as opposed to them having a bad behavior because they are ugly. Maybe this is one of the few people that have a good behavior, and then their partner is saying, oh yeah, I'm with this person because of their good behavior. And it can also be flipped. You see a woman dating a not so handsome man, and you see compliments like, oh, she's there for the money. Oh, the man must be very rich. The man, because you believe that because a person is not beautiful, or a person is not attractive, or they don't meet the this societally acceptable beauty standards, they are not deserving of love and acceptance. And this is like a general thing that happens in our society. So if this is how the society views people who are beautiful and people who are not beautiful, and you can see that it affects how people perceive you, it affects how people interact with you, it even affects how much money you're able to make over a period of time. Again, I think we should be less judgmental about how we treat people who carry out these things, these beauty procedures. I know that there are extremes. I know that there are people who are doing really extreme things to their bodies, to their cells, because, you know, you might say, oh, you don't really need it, or these things can be addictive as one of the side effects of when you start getting these particular procedures. But I think what we should be addressing at the very root is the cause of this problem, the society in which we exist, and how that has fostered, or do I say encouraged, practices where people are trying to be accepted even at the detriment of their health and their well-being. So tell me, what do you think about this so far? Has any of this resonated with you? Is this something that you've experienced? Is this something that you agree or you disagree on? Are there things that you think I should have spoken about more? Just tell me. This is like a very simple intro video. So tell me what you think, and I'll see you in my next video. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the Nigerian accent, about how we have like an American, British, Nigerian mixture of accents, and how accent is mostly a signal of class than being well spoken or like a point of intelligence. So if you like to hear that, please like, subscribe, and give me a follow. Subscribe, follow, the same thing, and see you in my next video. My name is Nkosalami again. Bye.